Happy Thursday, happy Thursday, happy Thursday, happy Thursday. It is Therapy Thursday. I'm Dr. Triffy. I'm a licensed psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. And on Thursdays, I show up to teach skills, tips, strategies, tools to help us think better so we can feel better and do better. My ultimate goal is for us to transform our traumatic events that have happened in our lives into passion, turn it around to passion, purpose, and power. All right, y'all. So tonight, I'm talking about a topic that a lot of us are. Every day we're on social media, we're watching these little videos, and people are like, "Oh, such and such is a gaslighter. So and so is a gaslighter." And I think a lot of people have an idea what that means, but I want to talk about it tonight, and I want to teach you some ways to talk, some ways to check a gaslighter, even if that gaslighter says, "Who gonna check me, boo?" How to check a gaslighter before you cut them off, if you must. And I say if you must because there are a lot of people in our lives who demonstrate that kind of behavior, but they're so close to us. We're married to some of them. We gave birth to some of them. Some of them are in our extended families. Some of them work with us, and some of us work for them. So it's not always easy to cut these people off. So in the meantime, before you can cut them off, or before you even need to cut them off, I want to help you recognize what gaslighting might look like and help you with some language to help you take care of yourself. So y'all, here's it. I got notes tonight. I got a pen. Mm. Y'all ready? Okay, so what is gaslighting? Gaslighting, y'all. Gaslighting. Do you know what a gas lamp is? If you grew up in Dominica, so I like to say that I'm from Dominica in the Caribbean, not to be confused with the Dominican Republic. We love the Dominican Republic, but we are not La República de Dominicana. We are not Dominicana. We are further south. Okay, we're further south between Guadeloupe and Martinique, and we speak English and the French Creole. Okay, so in Dominica, when I was growing up, we used to have these gas lamps. Hmm? You had to keep them going. Do you all remember that? During hurricane season, we used to use them as well. But the term gaslighting comes from a movie by that name. The movie was filmed, it was first used in 1938, yeah, in a play that was called The Gaslight. Uh, they actually made a movie from that play where a husband tricked his wife into thinking she was crazy. He tricked the poor woman into thinking she was crazy. What he did is he caused gas powered lights in the house to flicker. Yeah, like to do this. So the nut, that was a clinical term. So that's what he was doing, right? And what he did is he kept denying that it was happening to the poor lady when she complained about it. Huh? So what his ultimate goal was to try to swindle her out of her inheritance. Usually people who are gaslighting us are not doing it for our best interest. They're doing it for theirs. Okay? Gaslighting is a form of manipulation. What is manipulation? I mean, I can manipulate things in my hand by moving them around, right? So manipulate means to move things around. And people do that with their words and they do that with their actions to get a different outcome in their favor. So manipulation is where one person is attempting to make the other person think that what is really happening is not really happening. What they think is happening is not really what's happening. So clearly that's abusive. So why do you think gaslighting gets a bad name? Because it's an abusive thing to do, to try to get somebody else to doubt themselves because you want to continue getting what you're getting or doing what you're doing. All right. If I'm thinking about it in a loving, compassionate way, I can see how many people learn that style of communicating and that style of being to get their needs met. But that's as far as I'll go because ultimately it's an abusive way of getting what you want. Many people suffer. Their mental health takes a total nosedive. Their self esteem is shattered. Mm? And again, the goal is ultimately to exert power, to gain control, to get things, to feel superior, to feel better than. And that causes a lot of damage. So, what are some signs of gaslighting? Are you the gaslighter, y'all? Or are you a victim? Or have you ever been a victim of gaslighting? Gaslighting looks like blatant lying and covering up things. Blatant lying, denying conversations ever happened. Have you ever had that happen to you? Manipulating other people to turn against you, telling stories about you to other people to get other people to stop liking you. Mm? Insisting that something you saw or something you heard, you remember it wrong. I just mentioned spreading rumors and gossip about you. Look, sometimes they're telling you that other people are gossiping about you. I mentioned Dominica and the Caribbean. In Dominica, our parents used to say that person is a bring, go, bring, come. Hmm? Sometimes these people will change the subject on you after they've dropped a hot potato in your lap. They'll change the conversation on you, or they'll say, I don't want to talk about it. So they leave you with the hot potato to wrestle with it. And inside, you're probably bursting because you want to express yourself to say how you really feel, but they sent their nasty text to you and they blocked you on every platform. Winston, you know those kinds of people? Hélas, bon Dieu. They're everywhere. They're in our homes, they're in our schools, they're in our churches. Some of your spiritual leaders, I mean, this is just human beings who have learned that style of being in life, and the rest of us suffer if we don't know how to come back at them, how to, I say, check them hmm, before we decide, okay, I can't take it anymore. Because again, we might need to maintain those relationships. So, some common phrases from a gaslighter: somebody's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, who's trying to get you to do something perhaps in their favor that's against your favor, but they have to do this, right? To get you to do it. So, they might say something like, you're crazy, you're overreacting. Why are you so emotional? You're so sensitive. You're always paranoid. I can't say anything. Huh? You never believe me. You're imagining things. You're too high maintenance. You know what? You're just not good enough. Huh? You're being too needy. Why are you so needy? You're being hysterical. I was just joking. I was just playing. Why are you doing all that? Can you identify a gaslighter in your life? Or are you the gaslighter? Okay. So, what gaslighters will do is they will change, like I said, the version of the story to however they want it. Mm? And some bits and pieces of the story might be true, but they twist it around. Look, y'all, I had an experience of that, and I thought I mean, it was pretty recent. I thought, am I am I remembering this wrong? Did I really do that? Did I really say that? I had to check myself based on facts and things that had happened between me and someone, and the person was replaying it back to me in a way that was completely, well, not completely, because some pieces of the story were the same, but the rest, it did not happen. But these people will put their best foot forward to convince you that that is what happened. The additional piece, and one of the most destructive pieces, is when they take that untrue story with some bits of and pieces of truth, and they go now and they spread gossip about you based on that false story. Now, let me tell you, these people know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Okay? So, a big one is coming at you and telling you, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And many of us, if we don't have evidence, look, it's very hard to prove ourselves to these other people that they went and gossiped to about us. And you want to know what? Even when we do have evidence, sometimes these gaslighters, because their aim is to one up you, to seem better than you, to devalue you, yeah, to take you down a notch or 2, to take you down from what they envision is your pedestal, they will ignore the evidence. Okay? So they might come up with something like, oh, you're lying. Yeah. Oh, they're lying. No, it's not true. My version is true. Okay. As I said earlier, something you'll hear a lot is you're crazy. Huh? Husband finds out wife is cheating. Wife says, you are crazy. You're making things up. You're imagining things. You're exaggerating. What they want you to do is to question yourself, even though they know the truth. Now, the thing about it is, a rational person, a regular person, if your mate finds out that you're doing something that they don't like, you just come clean and you say, you know what, I'm sorry, I did that. I didn't mean to hurt you. That was not my intention. What these people do is they'll turn it right back on you. They'll turn it right back on you and tell you, well, you're imagining things. You are making things up. Why are you so dramatic? Here's another one. Well, I only did it because I was trying to help you. You're the one who told me to help you. I know you're fussing at me. Hmm? So you end up now feeling as if you need to apologize to somebody who already hurt you. To somebody who already hurt you. Now, Marvel says she calls them out when she's experiencing herself as being gaslit. Yes, yes. And we're going to talk about that tonight because a lot of people, again, because of depending on the nature of the relationship, if you cannot remove yourself from that person, if you and that person don't live in the same house, you don't have to deal with it, you can escape. But if you live in the same house, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? A lot of people just get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, feel worse and worse and worse and worse about themselves, yet to a point where sometimes they can hardly recognize who they are or who they remember themselves to be. Winsty says, as we say in Dominica, woy, woy, woy. I know them kinds of people. Yes, they are no joke. They are no joke. Good night to you too, Jackie. Here's one. I thought you were special. Huh? I used to think you were all that. Not anymore. I used to think you were a nice person. Not anymore. When you confront them or when you don't do something they wanted you to do or they expected you to do. Yeah. So their tactic in that regard, yeah, is to devalue you, sometimes to isolate you if they're efficient at rumors spreading, because people like that, of course, internally their personality is weak, it's very fragile, emotionally fragile, and so they need the support. This is why they go spreading the story, because they need support. Yeah. For many people, that's one of the most frightening parts of being gaslit, because if you know what happened between you and the other person, Yeah. And that person goes and tells a complete different story to other people. A lot of people lose business that way. You lose your relationships that way. You lose money that way. So it can be very painful with long standing consequences. You know why rumors spread fast. Negative information spreads very fast. And human beings, we like to think, we got a secret, like we know something that other people don't know. So a lot of people think really that that nasty piece of information that person brought about you, that didn't really happen. Yeah, that it's true. And so what do they say? They said the spoken word is one of those things that it's hard to get back in its entire form. So many people suffer the consequences from people like that long term, not just emotionally and psychologically, but financially. Okay. Here's another thing they might say. They might say something to you like, that's not what I meant. That's not what I was trying to say. Yeah, you're twisting my words. That's not what I said. That when you call them out, that's not what I meant. Again, because these are very fragile people emotionally on the inside. Or they might say something to you like, "Ah, but you did that yesterday to so and so, or you did it to me last week." Yeah. Very often they're pulling little pieces, perhaps, of what you did to justify what they're doing in this instance in front of you. Or they might say something like, it's not that big a deal. That's not big a deal. Why are you always overreacting? You're always whining, you're always complaining. I can't express myself then. I can't express myself then. Yeah. Let's suppose they said something that really hurt your feelings and you said, I don't like that. Why are you talking to me this way? You're always, as opposed to what irrational, healthy person would do, which is to say, ouch, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Or really, I'm sorry, I'll try not to do that again the next time. That person will come back at you and make you feel as if you were wrong for telling them, ouch, that hurt. That's a gaslighter. Okay. Or it was just a joke. So they make a lot of these gaslighters are very funny, kiki ki ka. Very funny, making jokes about other people. Hmm? So you who know you're the one, you know how to take care of yourself. You challenge them, they'll quickly back down. Man, you can't take a joke. Girl, so sensitive. Your skin is so thin. It was just a joke. And again, these are people who need a crowd. They love an audience of support. So many of them spend time grooming a little community of supporters who they can run to for, look, don't you see, what do you think, don't you think, do you think I said anything bad? So they go to their little audience to get the audience that, remember, they have already gaslit, they have them properly trained, mm, who say, of course not, no, you were just why, they're just too sensitive. Yeah, so they join with the gaslighter. Gaslighter now is soothed, doesn't feel any need to apologize. So who's saying that? When she says, so they never say sorry. They just walk off. Kiki kaka, kiki kaka. Again, think of living in a house with a person like that, married to a person like that, being supervised by a person like that. A person like that is in charge of your money or your children. It's a very vulnerable place to be. And a lot of people, like I say, to keep the peace, you just get smaller and smaller and smaller. You start watching what you're saying. I'm going to tell you what to look out for in yourself if you're the victim, because most people who live with people like that or who work with people like that, especially those who have power or influence over them, they show up with a set of symptoms, so to speak, right? And then we'll go to what you need to do and how you need to speak to these people to save your life. To save your life. This one, you're overthinking it. You're overthinking it is one that's like saying you're paranoid. I didn't mean to say that. You're taking it too far. That's not what I meant. Again, although you know you had a very hurt feeling when the person said or did a particular thing, okay? So instead of the gaslighter owning up to something that you suspect them of doing, they try to make you think there's nothing to see here. You're paranoid, okay? You're paranoid. But if you have clear evidence of that, right away you know that's a red flag with that kind of person. If you have clear evidence, right away you ought to know this is a person I gotta feed with a long spoon. I gotta watch them. Okay? Watch them when they tell you you're making that up. You're making that up. It's not true. They've basically just accused you of lying. They've basically just accused you of lying. Yeah? The thing is, when these people come at us with these new stories they made from an interaction the both of us had together, sometimes the stories they come up with and the things they do feel so outrageous to you that you overreact. Yeah? You might say some nasty things. You might, you're ready to, higas. If you're from Dominica, you know what that means. Yeah. And I think in a way that's unfortunate for us. It's unfortunate for the victim because when you become so outraged at their audacity, you're in shock because you cannot believe this person turned this into that and did all this with what you saw. Sometimes again we get excited and we say too much to them in response, or we might do things. I think in relationships, often that's where you see like an escalation in the verbal back and forth. Sometimes it elevates to physical stuff because you're like, no, you're not getting away with saying that about me or telling me XYZ. That's a mistake though, because that's the energy. If you think of a gaslighter as an energy vampire, yeah, that's what they're looking for from you. They're looking for a big emotional response. They're looking for you to be so shocked you burst into tears. Mm. You yell, you call them a name. Why? Because now they can go tell their little squad, they're playing so nice, but they cursed me out. I thought they were da 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 da, but look what they did. They slapped me in the face. Yeah. So we end up, it's called reactive abuse, where we end up, if we're not cautious, mm, if we're not cautious and thinking things through, if we're not taking our time before we respond, look, we could end up sometimes in trouble responding to these people who are like tentation. Tentation in English is temptations. Yeah, temptation. So that one I think you all need to really watch out for that one, because the thing is you're seeing, hey, I don't deserve what this person is doing. I don't deserve what this person is saying about me. Look, you might be facing potential consequences as a result. So your urge to defend yourself again might show up, and you might do too much. And I'm telling you, you have just fallen into that person's trap. I mean, I confess. Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. So you fall into the trap. And those of us who are thoughtful people, sometimes you end up questioning yourself. Well, did I go too far? Could I have done this in a different way? Okay. So watch yourself. Watch yourself when you're checking people. Okay. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to offer you several ways to come back at these people when they come at you, meaning to hurt you. Their aim is to hurt you. Their aim is to make you look smaller, to make you look not as nice. Yeah. To take advantage of you, like that spouse who was trying to swindle his wife from her inheritance. Here's another one. I don't know what you want me to say. Just tell me what you want me to say. I'll say it. So, spouse cheats, partner finds out, and instead of, I'm very sorry, I did the wrong thing, it's coming back with, I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, it's already done. I mean, what can I do? I can't undo it. We're being gaslit. Well, just tell me what you want me to say, and I'll tell you. What do you want me to say so you can feel better? Tell me, and I'll tell you. Very dark, y'all. We can do better. All right. This is a way for that person to put it on you now. Now you have the responsibility of coming up with what to tell that person to make you feel better because they did something that hurt you. Yeah. They put their hands behind their back and they act helpless and, oh, you caught me already. Well, just tell me what you want me to say and I'll say it. And then you now, they place the burden of responsibility on you. Here's one that we have an ex-president who's famous for saying. They say something like, well, your auntie and your uncle and the principal and the boss and the priest, the pastor agrees with me. Everybody is saying. We had a president recently who would say, everybody is saying XYZ. What they're doing is they're trying to gang up on you. They're trying to make you feel as if the whole world is on their side. And you're just a silly, you're just a fool. You don't, like, you're out there on your own, you know? You got to watch out, y'all. Everybody is saying, everybody agrees with me. So don't even come to me with your thoughts and your feelings. When, if you think about it, what's the point of relating to another person is to share yourself. What is yourself? Yourself is my thoughts, my feelings, what I'm doing. Yeah. So this person is telling you, oh, you're on your own with that. Everybody else is saying, I'm right. Okay, here's another one. Don't worry about it right now. I can't deal with that right now. I don't want to talk about that right now. They, like I said, they left you with a hot potato, right? They said something really nasty, really mean, and you don't like it. And you're saying, I don't like that. Can we talk about this? I don't want to talk about this. I don't have time. I can't deal with this right now. I'm tired. I can't deal with this right now. It's okay to be tired, but when you're dealing with another person in a relationship, you've got to tell them something like, I'm not feeling like talking about it right now, but can we try tomorrow? So you must circle back, give the person an opportunity for you all to settle it, or else you just left them hanging. So imagine if you're on the receiving end of that kind of behavior. That's assaultive, y'all. That's emotional abuse because one person stays on the hook. They send you a nasty text. They send you a nasty text or a voice note or whatever it is, a video. You da 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 da. You did such and such to me. You are so and so and so and so and so. And they do not give you an opportunity to say, hey, I didn't realize I was doing this, or why didn't you tell me I was doing that? I'm sorry. They'll just leave you hanging. Okay. That is emotional abuse. And if you're experiencing that on a day-to-day basis, look, if you were somebody like Ken says, who's like, it wasn't me in the shower. Look, watch yourself. Watch yourself. All right. Here's one, y'all. You're not perfect either. You're always playing high and mighty. You always know. You think you always know. You think you're always right. I see my streamer did a little something, something here. Yeah, but they'll tell you, you think you're always right. You think you're a psychologist. You think you're a teacher. You think just because you went to high school, you know better than me. You always know. You think you're perfect. You think just because you're a Christian, you think you're perfect. Yeah. You did the same thing to your sister, or you used to do the same thing. Yeah. That again is another attempt to trigger self-doubt in you, to make you question yourself. And that's just not cool. Having somebody you love question their self, think less of themselves, Why would you want to be with a person who's feeling less? Like, do you see how that is abusive? Here's a final one for you. Why are you always bringing up the past? Why are you always bringing up the past? We already talked about this. Can I say I've been guilty of that one? Can I say I've been guilty of that? Yeah, we talked about it already. Why are you bringing it up? Why are you bring? Well, what we're talking about with a gaslighter is a person who is that is their ammo, that is their style of being with you. Not all of us are human, so every now and then, you're going to do something like that, right? You're going to have that kind of response. But if you have a person, like I said, who's consistently and continuously assaulting you in that way emotionally, your mental health is in danger. Your mental health is at risk. Ken says, you women, he just said every woman does this. Is that true, Ken? Y'all, is that true? Men on here, fellas on here, is that women's ammo? When they say, um, what is it? We already talked about this, don't you remember? Or the one about the past. Yeah. Oh, you did that last. You keep bringing up the past. You keep bringing up the past. I mean, perhaps if we had a good conversation where there was some opportunity for the other person to release their thoughts and their feelings and talk about it, perhaps if they were not necessarily, like put off, perhaps they might be able to let it go and not be bringing up the past so much. Mr. Elwin. anyway, anyway, let me get a few of your comments. Marvel, you already said that you call them out when you feel as if you're being gaslighted. Good night, Havis. Sakafet. Hi, Joan. How are you? Joan is listening. My friend Richardson says, true saying, sis, tell them again and again and again. Anthony. Hi, Anthony Sakafet. Anthony says, hey, Doc, bonsoir. Bonsoir for English speakers is good night, good evening. And he says it in English for you. Good night, everyone. For those of you who didn't understand. Wincy says they never say sorry. Hi, Nurse Drago says, good night, Doc. Good night, Nurse. How are you? Jackie says she blocks, deletes, and exits and denies people who treat her in that way. She denies them access. And listen, y'all, there comes a time, depending on what the circumstances are, that you have to cut it off. You have to cut it off. Ken says, like Shaggy says, it wasn't me. Professional, people who are, that's their MO. They will tell you, look, it wasn't me. I do not know. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? You're making things up. You're just paranoid. Go to sleep, stuff like that. So you got to watch out for that. Ken says men are simple. Ken, I will leave you to the ladies on this on this live. Good night, Sandra. How are you? So my biggest concern is the toll that being with that kind of person on a day-to-day or on a regular basis, the toll it can take on your mental health. It's horrible. Okay? It's horrible. And the thing is, let's suppose it's somebody you didn't grow up with. Some of us, we can't, like, say, our parents who are like this, we can't escape them. It's hard to escape them, except if they maybe do something that hurts us in a physical way, where you might have a state organization come, like DFACS, Family and Children Services might intervene, remove the kids if a parent becomes physically abusive. But a lot of people suffer from that kind of emotional abuse. A lot of people, a lot of children, yeah? And it takes a while. 18 years is a long time before you can leave that home. But say if you're meeting somebody for the first time, like in a relationship, that too takes time before we see those patterns. It takes time because in the beginning, if you're infatuated with a person, you're likely to brush it off. You're likely to think, oh, they were just playing. Oh, kya kya kya, you kya kya kyaing with them, and it takes a little time for you to see the pattern and trust the pattern and realize, I guess that's how this person is. Some of us are quicker, but again, if you don't know what you don't know what to be looking for. So a lot of us, again, here's another thing that gets in our way. We're taught, we're raised to be very kind. We're raised to be good Samaritans and to forgive and forget. So a lot of us take a lot of mess for a long time. We accept a lot of pain for a long time. Some of us grew up with the idea that you have to be ride or die. And that when you start a relationship, you just go all the way to the end. I mean, growing up in the little villages, if you started dating a person, I mean, the people would see you walking with them one time and then they would say that's your person. And so many people think they have to go all the way to the end, even if their person is coming at them in that way and is not adjusting. So, for cultural reasons and religious reasons, and personal, personality reasons. You might be that kind of person, or you might have grown up in a home where that kind of stuff was familiar. So when you meet it in a relationship, it takes you a while to realize, hey, it doesn't have to be this way. So a lot of people accept the pain. Mm. They take the pain. A lot of us was spanked and whooped growing up. So we think pain is part of, love hurts. Love hurts. Some people say love hurts. Well, I don't think love hurts in that way. I'm sorry. Love doesn't hurt in that way because love leaps over walls, doesn't it? Love is always trying to look for the other person's good. And when we're not able to do that, we sit and we talk and we renegotiate. That's what love does in my book. So if you're a person who might have been experiencing gaslighting for a long time, here are some ways you might be feeling, okay? You might be feeling like you're no longer the person you used to be. You're no longer the person you used to be. You're more anxious than you used to be. You're less confident than you used to be. Now you're often wondering if you're being too sensitive, or you're starting to feel like, what, everything I do is wrong? Hmm? You're always, or more often than not, thinking that perhaps it's your fault when things go wrong, or you're apologizing a lot. You might have a sense that something's wrong, but you just can't identify what it is. You just know it doesn't feel good. Hmm? Often you're questioning whether your response to your partner is appropriate. You're wondering if you're not being loving enough to your mate based on the feedback that you're getting. Or you might start making excuses for your partner's behavior. Oh, that's just how he is. Oh, he just likes to crack jokes about everybody. So when he cracks these nasty jokes, at me, he's just funny. Kya, kya, kya. Hmm? Or he's exhausted, or she's just, that's just how her father was. So she's like her dad. And that's why she yells at me and she tells me what? She didn't yell. Hmm? You might start avoiding giving information to your friends and your family because you don't want to have a confrontation with your partner. And as a result, what happens? You start feeling isolated now from your people. You might be finding it increasingly hard to make decisions, like you don't trust the decision you're going to make. I'm telling you, when all of this accumulates, it takes a drastic toll on our mental health. So, what are we going to do about it? If that's your situation, you have got work to do. Okay? You have work to do. Let's take a few of your comments. Wednesday says he thinks it's worse when you deal with a mixed. Okay, you have to make a run for the back door. Run. I don't know what you mean by that, Wednesday. What's a mixed breed? What does that mean? Carla says, according to Bob Marley, love the life you live and live the life you love. You need to know when to get out, no matter what people say. You have to have your do not cross line, or you have to have your this will be enough for me. Okay. Or once I see this, that's enough. Okay. Hi, Patricia. Happy Thursday. So, y'all, if you're going to stop gaslighting, number one, you got to see it for what it is. You have to see it for what it is. Okay? Because once you realize this is what's going on, then you know what to do about it. Now, I think, again, that many of us, we see the word gaslighting, 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 but we don't really know what it feels like in real life. But I hope that by now you have a sense of what it feels like on the receiving end of gaslighting. So now you know what to do. Okay? You're going to have to learn how to set boundaries, and some of these ways of talking I'll offer you will be doing just that. You're going to need to like just nurture your sense of I can trust myself. That feeling that, well, before I met this person, I was a clear-minded person. I knew how to take care of myself, my home, my apartment, my whatever. I didn't suddenly become a fool just because I met this person. So you start realizing, well, okay, let me start building myself up again. If all else fails, I am encouraging you to get professional help, because there might be something about the way you were raised or something about the way you think about yourself that you're continuing to say yes to that kind of experience. If you're the gaslighter, clearly you have learned some ways of being in the world that are hurting other people. So you want to figure that out. You want to figure out what's at the root of that, or what new behaviors can I begin to apply so I can maintain my relationship. Because these gaslighters, they do want to be in happy relationships, but many of them, like I say, this is how they learned to get their needs met. And so they're like, they do cause a lot of havoc and emotional damage on the other person. Like I say, wittingly or unwittingly, because I bet you before tonight, some of you didn't realize you were the one gaslighting your mate. Okay, so here are some techniques to shut it down, or to at least redirect it before you say, cut them off. Okay. All right. So a lot of this is communication skills. Words, y'all, words have power because words can change the outcome. Depending on how I speak or what I say, your response, your reaction is going to be different. Okay. So this is what we're going to be doing. Numero uno. Number one, start from the understanding that everybody, including you, everybody has a right to their thoughts, to their feelings, to their behaviors. So while this gaslighter has a right to question your sanity and to put things off when you want to talk about it, to gossip about you, they have a right to that. But you have a right to the way you respond to that. You have a right to say, even though I was raised to believe I just have to forgive and forget, I have a right to make a new thought today and say, I will exit, like Jackie was saying, I will delete this person. I will no longer engage with this person, or I will at least have a conversation with that person to see if we can salvage that relationship. Okay? So it's okay to tell the person something like, I understand that's how you see it. I understand that's how the experience felt for you. You have a right to that. We just don't see things the same way. My reality is my reality, and yours is yours. It's okay. They're raising Cain, calling you names, again, talking about you. Tell them you understand. A lot of us, a lot of us, especially when we don't have mental health problems, when a person says, I understand, very often that does something for us. Yeah, because most human beings want to be understood. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be acknowledged. Yeah. The thing about it is, I want to be acknowledged too. So I cannot only offer the gaslighter acknowledgement, which is what they want, which is what these people want. Okay. So, yes, acknowledge them. I understand that's how you see it. I happen to see it in a different way because everybody's got a right to how they see it. Yes. Number two, appreciate the reality. Like I said, hey, I understand. Or you might say something like, I never quite thought about it like that. Oh, I didn't realize you were in so much discomfort. Hmm? That's a new way to look at it. I never thought of it that way. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. What you're doing is you're stroking a person who is hungry. These people are hungry for validation. Hungry because that's the aim. The aim is to devalue you, make you look less than, so they can make their way, yeah, through you. Hmm? So that's an interesting perspective. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Okay? That allows you to just let the person be themselves. They're coming at you like full force. Just let them be themselves. Let them go forward with that energy. So you don't come back as hard. You just kind of ease back. You're gentle with it. You're acknowledging, hmm? And you're also being respectful. Okay? Number three, I know you see it that way, but for sure that's not true. Call them out. There are some of us who are a lot more direct than I can see where you're coming from. Call them out, especially if you have evidence. I know you see it that way. Acknowledge them, but that's completely untrue. And check them. So, do you remember when we were on the phone and I said A and you said B? Yes, no, yes or no? There is a yes and there is a no, right? Now, some of them will pretend. You can go down into the weeds with some of these people because they might acknowledge, yes, you know, what they said was untrue, but they might still come back around with you and say, well, oh, but you made me do it. You know what I mean? So, still, hold your ground. You've got to hold your ground with these people because you know what is true, don't you? You know what is true. So you can tell them exactly that. I know that's how you see it, but that's not true. As evidenced by here's your text, as evidenced by here's the money, as evidenced by here's the whatever. Okay? Hold your ground. You don't have to hold your ground yelling and screaming and going into name calling, which is the reactive abuse. Hold your ground. I think some people think the winner of the fight is the louder of the two. No, we've tried that. Right? The winner of the fight is not the louder of the two. I mean, I don't have to yell and scream to hold my ground and say that's a lie. Hmm? Don't make it about the other person. Try your best not to make it about the other person when you say you are a liar. Why do you always come up with these stories? That's 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 them fighting words to that kind of person. Okay? What you might say instead is how you're feeling, your experience now. I get that's how you see it. Stroke them first, but I feel very confused by what you're saying. Like dig deep into your feelings. As hard as they're coming at you, dig into your feelings. Okay, I didn't realize that, but I feel very uncomfortable when you say it to me like that. Okay, you have a right to see it this way, but right now I'm very irritated. Right now I'm feeling very frustrated. Right now I'm feeling very uncomfortable, very anxious, very sad. Okay? Use your feeling words because in my the way I feel, the way I think about it, when we use feeling words in response to that, it's almost like water. Yeah, you're almost like water with your verbalization of your feeling versus I think you are this, and you are so and so, and you are so and so. That's just, we're just setting something up with that. But if I go with, yeah, I get it that you see it like this, but I'm feeling like that about what you're saying. Yeah, I'm very confused. I don't remember this happening. And because I don't remember, I feel very confused. Hmm? All right. Here's another one. Say out loud to that person, you know what? I know you think I'm paranoid. I get it that you think I'm paranoid, but I trust my instincts. I trust my intuition. I trust what I know. I trust how I feel. Because one of the biggest ways we suffer at the hands of these people is we start doubting ourselves and our sense. So uh, your little spidey sense goes off, and they're telling you you're paranoid. You see a little piece of a text here or a piece of an email here, and you're like, that's out of the ordinary. That is not the usual pattern. So what you're really doing with these so-called your so-called intuition is you're looking at little patterns and you're like, this doesn't fit. So if the person's calling you paranoid and you have at least some little be defiant, essentially. Hold your ground and say, I hear you, but I trust my instinct. I trust myself. Hmm? Number 8, I haven't been numbering them, but I have them numbered on my notes. Ask a gaslighter who's accusing you of things that you know you didn't do, you didn't say. You know, they've started a ruckus with you, with your family, with your friends, with your work. Ask them to provide you with specific details. These folks don't like details, hmm? Because in the details, it's hard for them to make up the story. It's hard for them to soften up details. So ask them, okay, show me proof. Where did I say this? Or where did I do this? That has you doing all of that. Ask them for the details. It'll shift the focus of the conversation or the interaction away from their opinions and onto hard facts. Hard facts. Okay? Here's another way you might respond. You might say something like, that's interesting. Hmm? Again, these people are very emotionally fragile. They need a lot of stroking. They need a lot of people to like them and to agree with them. Hmm? So say, that's interesting. Hmm? I want to think about it a little. Let me think about it. Hmm? One reason to take time, ask for time in a conversation like that is sometimes these people will make things up in the middle of the interaction and you yourself will be shocked. You'll be surprised. Like, what? So in your little head, you're questioning yourself, like, did I really do that? Did I really say that? I don't remember this. So before you just make an emotional response or comeback, just say, you have every right to say, you know what? Okay, let's talk about this tomorrow. So you're not leaving them hanging. Let's talk about this again tomorrow. But give yourself time to remove yourself from the situation. Go think about it. Go get your evidence if you need evidence. Okay? As opposed to just saying stuff that they can now take and look. If you're not careful with these people, you will never live it down. Because you might say something in your anxiety or your desire to shut the conversation down. You might say something that they take and they use it as a whip, okay, for a long, long time. And it hurts, okay? It hurts. So the next option is again to say, let's stop talking about it for right now. How about we talk about this another time? I encourage you to always offer a person another opportunity to, because I don't like when people leave people hanging like this, especially if you are in an ongoing, meaningful relationship. Come circle back when you've cooled down. Yeah, when you've thought about it more, your mind is clear, you have more details, you have more information. If a person is disrespecting you, though, like with their words, calling you names, cursing at you do not have to stand there and listen. Cut them off. This deserves an exit. Okay? So you state your position. When you are calmer, when you stop calling me names, we can resume this conversation. I will not continue this conversation if you call me names. I will not speak to you for a week if you talk to me in a dismissive way. And follow through. And follow through, because you don't have to win every fight in that one instance. Some wars, wasn't there 100 years war? No, some fights take a long time. Yeah, just do not accept people calling you names or telling you bad things, and stay as if in Dominica we call that shupu shu. Yeah, stop. Like, just terminate it and leave them there. You can decide if you're going to come back and resume an interaction with a person who's being this way with you. So your goal is to set boundaries. A person has every right to crack a joke about you. Yeah, they're supposed to be your friend, but they're looking for your weaknesses to point them out. They have every right to do that, but you have to set boundaries. You have to say, I understand you enjoy telling jokes about my weaknesses, but I don't feel good when you do it. So I'm going to leave now. We'll talk another day. Since you're in the mood for jokes, and I've talked to you about it already, I've told you I don't like it, we'll talk another day. Kya, kya, kya. You can keep on with it. Yeah. So you have to set a boundary. You do not have to sit and listen to a person tell you nasty things. They have a right to say these nasty things because what? It's their mouth and their tongue they're using. You have a right to make a choice to take care of yourself when people are doing that, though. Okay? You have a right, if that behavior is chronic and that person refuses professional help, you have every right to cut them off. Remove yourself from the exposure of that toxic. It's very harmful, y'all. It's very harmful. I was talking today to a gentleman. He's in his 40s now, yeah, at the prison. And the man is crying at 46 about his life as a little boy with a father who loved him, but who was emotionally and verbally abusive. This thing takes time to recover from, and some people don't recover from it. They don't recover from it. So you have to decide if you're going to allow, would you allow yourself to lie in a bathtub of poison? Would you? Would you put your baby to bathe in a bathtub of poison, like Gramoxone or Roundup or whatever? You know what I mean? Would you put yourself to lie down in a bathtub of bleach? That's what you're doing emotionally. If you're in a space where you're dealing with a person who is chronically like this with you, chronically, like I said, like this 46-year-old man, he was a child, so he couldn't escape. He said that DFACS, which is the Family and Children Services, they came and they plucked them out for a couple of times, but they were with foster parents who turned out to be not even better. Yeah, but you've got to be with parents like this, 18 years at least, some people even later. That's poisonous. That's like sitting in bleach for that long. It breaks your spirit. Your self-esteem goes. You start wondering, am I losing it? Huh? Can I make my own decisions? Am I wrong? Am I just making mistakes? Is it worth it? So if you bring this stuff to your person's attention, or to you right now as an adult, say you're over 18 and you have a parent who's still like this, a sister who's still like this, a child, you raise a child, and for whatever reason, a child turns out to be like this, do you have to engage with them? No. No. Not if it feels to you as if you're sitting in a tub of bleach. No. Okay? Those of you who, for people who are tied to the notion of being a good Samaritan, to forgive and forget, your Bible tells you to guard your heart. Guard your heart, yeah? For out of it flows what? The issues of life, yeah? So, look, this is not a joke. It's not a joke, because you lose your self esteem, you start accepting anything. Your performance suffers at work, because if you're working and your self esteem is low, you know how many perhaps opportunities you pass up for a promotion? I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. Where'd you pick that up? Where'd you pick that up? Yeah? So, before we go tonight, I want to give you one phrase to avoid at all costs. At all costs, with a person like that, as Christian as you are, as good as you are, as kind and loving and gentle and, you know, kumbaya as you are, as much as you meditate, as much as you pray, as much as you give tithing and alms to the poor, one thing to try your best never to say to a gaslighter is, "You're right, it's my fault." Try your best to avoid saying to a gaslighter, you're right, it's my fault. Pascal, you won't live it down. You will not hear the end of it. Okay? Especially if you are doing it just to keep the peace and you're like, okay, yes, it's my fault. Let's let it go. Gaslighter is not going to let it go. Gaslighter is going to take it to their grave. Never take responsibility for a gaslighter's behavior just to keep the peace, because they will take it seriously and they will use it against you for years to come. So if you know it's not true, you do not have to soothe this person's rage. You do not have to soothe their anxiety. And you do not have to explain yourself more than once to their little squad or their crew of support who is listening to one side of a story, to what one person said, or who has made their decision, whatever. Yeah. You know, again, the details, and this is how you keep your sanity. Okay. Now, I know this is not easy, because the people we're talking about are usually loud, they're usually abrasive. Again, this is how they have made their way through life. Some of them are sneaky. Some of them are sneaky. Some of them are not loud. Some of them are sneaky. Some of them act vulnerable, like they're the ones most put upon, but they can be weapons. Yeah, they can be very, very harmful to you. So you have a responsibility, if this is what you're living through and living with, to learn to use these ways of talking to these people. Invite them to go to therapy, because this is fertile ground for a therapist. Okay, a person who's doing all this stuff. All right. More often than not, there's an accompanying mental health diagnosis with that kind of behavior, because, like I said, most people will acknowledge, I made a mistake. Yeah. You know what? I misinterpreted. But these people won't. Instead, they'll hurt you with it. So remain defiant. When I say defiant, I mean remain confident. You know what you know. You know what you know. You know the truth. Do not admit Yes, it's my fault. Let's just squash this. No, 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 no. Release your need for the person to be different. They are who they are. Trust me, your love is not going to change them. They need professional help. So just know that's who that person is. And watch yourself. Watch yourself. Hmm? The last one I want to leave you with is to learn how to detach yourself from people in a healthy way. You don't have to make a big scandal if you're no longer going to engage with that person because you saw how they are. You don't have to tell the whole world. The whole world doesn't have to know. Just take care of yourself. You don't have to not like them anymore. You just have to see them for what they are and know that because they are how they are, you're going to get hurt if you come up, on them. Yeah. If it's somebody that you're living with, if it's a parent, try to find a way to encourage that person to go to therapy with you because they really need other people to tell them. They don't want to take it from you. And many of these people, when they come to therapy, you know what they do? When a therapist says something that might challenge them, they go home and they tell the other person, that therapist only likes you. They don't like me. Okay, so it's very challenging to live with these people, to deal with them, except if your plan is to only say yes to them. So if you plan to only say yes to another human being, that kind of person is okay. You'll be fine. If you're a masochist who is okay with being hurt, that'll work for you. But if you're a healthy human being, speak up. And if that doesn't work and you don't want to go for professional help, you might have to cut it off, unfortunately. Okay? I'm going to review some of your comments here and then we'll say good night for tonight. Thank you for joining me. Jackie says, take control of yourself. Take control of yourself and avoid these people. There's so many people on the planet, so many groups right now. I mean, you could just join so many groups on Facebook, you know what I mean? Or on some other social media platform, on the internet. There's so many people on the planet. You do not have to deal with people who make you feel like you're sitting in a bathtub of Clorox, mon cher. Marvin will follow up. She's been driving. Patricia says, can gaslighting be done because of insecurity? Patricia, these people are very tender emotionally. So they're very emotionally fragile. So yes, it is because of insecurity in huge measure. But it's a way that these people, when they felt anxious, and it's something you learn from little bit. It's a way some people learn to get their needs met. It's a way some people learn to feel powerful, to feel valuable, to feel validated. The thing is, they have every right to try to feel validated that way, not at my expense, is what you have to say. Because you have every right to not allow them to make you feel like you're in a bathtub of Clorox. You have every right. You have every right to protect yourself from that experience. It doesn't mean you don't love them, but you healthily detach yourself from them. Why? Because your job, your responsibility as an adult is to protect yourself, to take care of yourself, so you can survive in as good a condition as possible. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like I said, because we grew up in cultures and in religions that taught us to be very kind, very nice, to love no matter what, to forgive 70 times 7, we accept a lot of pain, to ride or die, to love till death do we part. We accept a lot of pain. You have a right to accept that pain, like I say, or you also have a right to choose not to have that experience. It's up to you. Jackie says she does not tolerate abuse of any kind. There's a part of your brain that is not working well and is not thinking about your long-term survival if you accept abuse of any kind. Because abuse of any kind diminishes you, it breaks you down, it makes you less than, it makes you weaker. So you're not thinking about your survival if you're accepting abuse. Whatever reason you give yourself to accept it, like religion or culture, you're sacrificing your survival as a wise human being. Yes, you are, because abuse always makes us less than, makes us worse. So, look, if I'm going to survive, yeah, in as good a quality as possible, yeah, as soon as it shows up, I'm going to speak about it. I'm going to say, you have a right to say it like that, but it doesn't feel good for me. What do you think about not saying it again? You persist, you are not supposed to be in my circle because you are a toxin to me. Now, if I am, again, self sabotaging and I don't love myself enough, or I don't think I deserve, I don't know, to survive in good condition, I might stay with it a long time or forever. Some people stay with it forever. What happens? Hypertension, anxiety, diabetes, depression, PTSD. Mm. Is that your lot in life? You get to decide that. So you have to shake these things up. These situations, shake them up, right? And I gave you words tonight to use with these people. Avenel says, love cannot change them at all. You just see them for what they are. Love cannot change a human being that's been fully raised. A child, a child, you can teach a child. An adult has got to want to do things in a different way for them to do things in a different way. And people with that kind of personality, it's kind of hard for them to change because we're asking them to change who they are. And again, you have to really want to do that. Monel, how are you? Monel says she'll watch later. Thank you, Monel. Avenel says to maintain your sanity, you will need to detach from these individuals. Again, think about it like you're sitting in a tub of Clorox or Gramoxone. It is not good for your heart. It's not good for your heart on an emotional or physical level. Okay, you have to limit your interact. It's just, I know it's painful. That's why a lot of us stay, So it's kind of like better the devil we know than the devil we don't know. No, that's very unhealthy. And you have to start speaking up about it to get it to be different. Okay? All right, you all. Happy Thursday. Thank you all for participating. I hope you took notes. I hope you share the live. I was thinking recently that I need to remember to remind you all to share the live to your pages, okay? So that you can spread the information and potentially the person that you're going to meet or that your child meets picked up some of this magic sauce, okay, that we're sharing here tonight. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday night. Nous que parlons l'autre fois. For my English speakers, that means we will speak very soon, okay? Jackie says, amazing communication tonight. She shared the live. Sending you all love and light, okay? Peace.